Today I present you with the 7 habits of highly effective Illustrator users. 3 of them will blow your mind, 3 of them will put it back together, and the last one will turn you into a color-wielding wizard.
Right off the bat, I like to be aware of the condition of my smart guides. And so notice here in the properties panel that the lightning bolt is turned on, thereby indicating that smart guides are active as by default. Now that's great, but it's a kind of two-edged sword. On one hand, they ensure proper alignment. On the other hand, they drive you absolutely bonkers at times. So notice this is not a particularly difficult piece of artwork. We just have a gradient in the background. There is a lot going on inside the hourglass, however. So notice as I drag, I'm not snapping per se because my cursor is remaining black. It's not changing to white, which would indicate that I'm snapping to a point, but I am seeing the word intersect in magenta, and it's just appearing incessantly. And I'm seeing these sort of perpendicular lines that are trying like heck to show me what it is I'm intersecting to, but it's so incessant and herky-jerky as to be of no use at all. And so I'll go ahead and undo that change. Now, the problem is exacerbated by the fact that the properties panel is kind of notoriously context sensitive, meaning that oftentimes it doesn't show you anything resembling what you want to see. And so I need to click off the path outline to bring back these guides options, including the lightning bolt. I'll turn it off. And now if I drag, because my smart guides are turned off, it's not a herky-jerky experience. It's very smooth. Now, I am not for a second saying I don't like smart guides. I love them. However, I want to be able to turn them on and off at will. And obviously the properties panel is absolutely unreliable. So what I suggest you do is go up to the view menu and check out the smart guides command, which has a keyboard shortcut of Control U or Command U on the Mac. What does the U stand for? It stands for you. Sometimes you want smart guides on, sometimes you want them off. And if that sounds an awful lot like you, then take a moment, won't you, and subscribe and turn on notifications. I bet you'll be glad you did. All right, now in my case, I do want smart guides turned on so I can show you a couple of essential tricks associated with guides. And so I'll click off in order to deselect the artwork. Notice I can turn on the rulers here inside the properties panel, or you can just press Control or Command R. You probably already know that you can drag a guide out of either ruler if you like. However, I'm going to undo that change because here's the deal. Guides are not something you want to create indiscriminately inside Illustrator. Every single guide's an actual object in the program, just as surely as any other path outline. And so you want to put them on the right layer. Whatever layer that is for you, I'm going to unlock this back layer right here, click on it and twirl it open so you can see that it contains a rectangle filled with a gradient and nothing more. And so what I'm going to do at this point is not drag a guide out of either ruler, but rather draw 2 guides at the same time, 1 vertical, 1 horizontal, 2 center guides. And so notice I'm seeing the center point of my rectangle. That is a function of smart guides, by the way. And so I'm going to press the Control key or the Command key on the Mac and drag from the intersection of the 2 guides up there in the top left corner until I see the word center right there. And I want to note the coordinates. That is the exact center of my artwork, by the way. You want to keep that Control or Command key down until you release. Otherwise, you will not create those guides. And notice, by the way, that if I click on my background rectangle right there, I can see that it's not aligned properly, and I can now drag it by its center point until it snaps into alignment right there with the center of the artwork. And now I want you to see that we do have 2 guides. Notice them inside this back layer. All right, I'm going to twirl it closed and lock it down because I don't want to mess things up. And I'm going to hide the properties panel and press Control or Command R to hide the rulers. Now let's talk about bounding boxes. And notice I've got this eye sitting right here, and I've got these edges above and below the hourglass. I'll turn off that edges layer because really I want to build them from these things right here. Now what I want to do is snap a point that's associated with this path outline right here with the top of this hourglass. I can't use any alignment functions because the hourglass is at a crazy angle. And if I just drag this thing, it's not going to snap properly even when smart guides are turned on. And so what I want to do instead is gain access to the anchor point that's right about here. I can't really see it though unless I go to the view menu and choose hide bounding box. And so this is another one of those things that sometimes you want it, sometimes you don't. You have a keyboard shortcut of Control-Shift-B, Command-Shift-B on the Mac, at which point there's my anchor point. And so I can now drag it until it snaps into alignment. See my white cursor right there? That tells me that I'm snapping one anchor point to another. Another way to work, if you want to leave the bounding box turned on, so I'll go ahead and turn it back on. I could use a keyboard shortcut, of course. Another way to work is after selecting the item, press the Control key or the Command key on the Mac to switch temporarily to the white arrow tool. Do you see that? And then drag that top anchor point right there, which has revealed itself to me until you snap it into alignment. Not there, that's wrong. Right there is what I want. All right, now for a couple of essential techniques when working with the pen tool. I'll go ahead and grab the pen.
Hey, real quick. Today begins the 2025 Illustrator Virtual Summit, an online conference par excellence. First of all, I'll be there. Second, so will Monica Gauss, Laura Coyle, Ann Larkina, Kira Piccinich, and me, Deke McClelland. Third, the summit is 100% free as long as you log in today. I can't stress enough right now. Here's how. Seriously, 4 days, 32 classes, it's crazy. Personally, I am so looking forward to sessions by Tony Harmer, Kirk Wallace, James Barnard, Von Glitchka, and me, Deke McClelland. If you like Illustrator, you will love this singular event. And now back to more of me, Deke McClelland, showing you, insert your name here, Illustrator.
Notice that I have a kind of tracing template right here, which will allow me to cheat quite effectively, actually. And so I'm going to get rid of the fill so I can see what I'm doing in the background, and I'll change the line weight to, let's say, 6 points, and then I'll drag from this anchor point right there to this control handle in order to create a first smooth point, and then I'll drag from here down to this control handle. But notice that the opposite control handle is not properly aligned, and so as you're working with the pen tool, remember, if you don't already know this, you can press and hold the Control key or the Command key on the Mac to get the white arrow tool on the fly, and that way you can make modifications to your path outline as you're working on it. And then you can move your cursor and notice that it's still active. You still have that so-called rubber band that's connecting things. I'll just make a little drag right here so I don't scroll off the bottom edge. And then I'll press the Control key and drag this guy upward. I'm now going to alter Option drag to create that cusp right there. You probably know about that one. Here's a trick while you're drawing. So notice that, watch my opposite control handle, not the one under my cursor, but the opposite one. It's pretty much in the right location right there, but I'm not in the right location where the next control handle, the one under my cursor, is concerned. And so I'll now press and hold the Control key or the Command key in order to move this control handle independently. It's still locked into alignment, but it's no longer absolutely symmetrical. I can move it on the fly like so. So that's another use of the Command or Control key. And then I'm going to finish things off by Alt dragging like so. I'm not going to bother to get it into the right position, however, until I press and hold the Control key or the Command key on the Mac and drag it. So you always have that option available to you. All right, if you're counting, we're at number 5, which involves the myriad uses for the space bar. You already know about spacebar dragging in order to scroll the image. Newborn children know about that one. However, it's so intensely useful, the spacebar that is, along with the ellipse tool in particular, because you can't always know where to start an ellipse, but you can use the spacebar in order to move it on the fly. And that trick works, by the way, in combination with other keyboard tricks. So if I was pressing the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac in order to create this shape from the center outward, and I'm constraining it to a circle, by pressing the shift key, I could add the space bar in order to move that shape on the fly like so. And then I could release the space bar, but keep the other two keys down like so, and then maybe use the space bar a little more. And then finally release, and then release all the keys. But that also works, by the way, just in case this artwork isn't enough of a mess, I could grab the line tool and drag with it and use the space bar to move the line on the fly, and of course the pen tool. If I grab the pen tool, I'll drag out here, let's say, and then maybe another anchor point right about there, and then I'll drag at this location, and notice I can use the space bar in order to move that anchor point as I'm working on it. This even works with that control or command key trick, so I might have a big long control handle on the opposite side of my cursor, on the opposite side of the anchor point that is, and then press the control key or the command key on the Mac in order to shorten this control handle, and then add the space bar in order to move that point around. And so your options are fairly limitless, at which point I might deactivate this path just by tapping the escape key. All right, now for effective habit number 6, which is to always use the appearance panel when filling and stroking objects, especially type. And so notice I've got this little car here. I'll select it with the black arrow tool, and then I'll go up, just for the sake of demonstration, I'll bring up the properties panel, which is, if nothing else, too big for its own good. But notice the fill and stroke attributes right here. This implies that the fill is on top of the stroke, which is not true. It's the other way around, and you can only tell that's the case by clicking on this triple dot right here to bring up the appearance panel. Notice the stroke is on top of the fill, and so sayonara properties panel, need you no more, my friend. And now I'll click on the line weight value and take it up to, let's say, 18 points, something really thick. But that kind of intrudes on the fill, does it not? It looks like garbage. Now, you can click on the word stroke and align the stroke to the outside if you want to. However, that is limited in terms of what you can accomplish, and a little inelegant as well, because you can do so much just by taking the stroke and dragging it below the fill, and then the fill gets to be in front, and then you could take the stroke. There's no ends to what you can do now. You can click on a little plus sign to make a duplicate of it. I could change it to white, which is going to cover up the other stroke, but it will soon be revealed, the stroke in the background that is, if I reduce the line weight to 4 points like so. It looks like there's another little blue line right there. That's just the path outline being displayed on screen. And now I'm going to grab this guy and drag it on top of the fill. And so we've got a fill sandwich, stroke, fill, stroke, and it looks like this. All kinds of stuff you can do, especially where type is concerned. If you select your type with the black arrow tool, then notice we've selected the type object as opposed to the characters. If we're working with the characters, then it would just be stroke on top of fill, and that makes a mess of things. Whereas this way you can add a new fill or a new stroke, doesn't matter, either one, and then go ahead and change the fill to that same shade of green that I'm using for the car. And now I'll change the stroke to that same shade of dark green, and I'll take the line weight, let's say up to 8 points. And even when it's just 8 points thick, which is pretty thick actually, it is interfering with the legibility of the type, and it looks like trash. And so now what you do is you just grab the stroke and move it below the fill, which is not something you can do with the properties panel. And then if you wanted to, you could even change the fill to a gradient. Why, there's no end to what you can accomplish. All right, as for the 7th habit, I think I'm stretching things a little bit, because how could you have yet developed a habit with a feature that was just introduced in Illustrator 29.5 back in April? Well, you are now able to develop this habit, however, which is to enter any of the 148 standardized CSS color names when defining a color here inside Illustrator. And so I'm just going to go ahead and expand my swatches panel and select this demo group right here. And I will add a new swatch, and I will enter, let's say, into the hex, by the way, into the hex field, I'll enter, let's say, aqua. And then the trick is to press the tab key and it runs the conversion. And so we have the RGB values as well as the hex value. As you may know, the hex value is organized by RGB, 2 digits apiece. It's just that things are organized differently. But you will get the exact same color. And I could do this with maroon, of course. Go ahead and enter that if I spelled it properly. I always forget if it's 2 R's or what. But anyway, I'll click OK in order to accept that color. And it is actually called, well, it could be called maroon if I had bothered to name it. Anyway, I'm going to click the plus sign again. And I just want to demonstrate that if you're feeling a little bit lazy or you're running low on time and you don't have, you can't enter the entire word yellow. You can just type in YE and that will give you yellow, or you could try out TU for turquoise, or looky there, we've got HO for hot pink. I'll go ahead and try that one, HO, like so, and press the tab key. That doesn't look like hot pink to me, and that's because honeydew is the first of the named colors that includes HO, and so what I would have to do is laboriously type in HOT like so.
And I ask you, is that pink hot or what? What is your thinking? I mean, seriously, 7 habits? You must have one or more of your own. Comment below. Oh, and I have one more tiny itsy bitsy thing at my Patreon, patreon.com/DeekNow. I'm Deke McClellan. This is Deke Now.